to Japan's low birth rate, the government decided to apply a new law. They created a matchmaking system where they assign a designated spouse to everyone who turns 16. Any other kind of love relationship without their designated partner is forbidden and will be punished. In a classroom, Yukari Najima wonders what love is as his eyes are glued to Misaki in his classroom, when suddenly, his friend interrupts him and tells him he wants to fall in love, declaring he won't get married. Yukari can't understand what's going on until he realizes his friend turned 16 and received his future spouse's notification. His friend once again tells he wants to love, not just to accept the girlfriend airdrop from the government's breeding package. He then asks his circle to never get married and Misaki joins them. Later that day, Yukari goes home and takes a rest. He knows he doesn't want a secured future with the help of the Japanese government. He just wants to confess to Misaki, reminiscing the time she gave her half of his eraser back in 5th grade. He worries about Misaki getting the government's notice and masters all his courage to ask her out the next morning. However, Misaki doesn't remember him and he apologizes for stopping her, but the chance slips by. He tells Misaki that he'll meet her by the park at 6 p.m., waiting for her no matter what. Fast forward a couple of hours and it's already 6:27 p.m. Misaki is late and Yukari thinks she won't come. Time passes and the police arrive telling him it's already 10:30 p.m. Yukari apologizes and tells them he'll go home. As soon as he's about to leave, Misaki comes sprinting and stops him. She apologizes for being late and the two sit on a bench and talk. Although a nervous wreck, Yukari confesses to Misaki and tells her he likes her. Misaki starts crying, so Yukari quickly apologizes to her. She confesses to Yukari that she also likes him. Completely moved from what he hears from her, Yukari hugs Misaki and tells her he's been in love with her for 5 years, asking him to be with him forever. Misaki then goes for a kiss, getting on top of him while going for that French kiss that most of you guys will never experience in your life. But at midnight, Yukari's phone rings and he receives a notice from the government. He turns 16 and receives a text from the Japanese government, telling him that his wife will be Misaki. As soon as he's about to show Misaki the message, his phone shuts down and for baby increase department agents arrive, handing him his official document. Yukari scans through the whole paper and finds out that his assigned wife is a 16-year-old girl called Sanada Lililna. Misaki then runs off while crying. Yukari catches up to her and hugs her tightly, assuring that he loves her. The next day, Yukari and his family meet his assigned wife and her family. Upon seeing Lililna for the first time, Yukari immediately hides behind the door, shocked at how beautiful his future wife is. Lililna introduces herself, but Yukari doesn't seem interested. Lililna feels offended and throws him her jacket, telling him he's very rude for not even pretending to be interested in her before leaving the room. Yukari goes out of the room to find her and enters a room where he finds Lililna, who then drags him inside. Yukari apologizes to her and Lililna tells him that she's basically done with the marriage part. Yukari tells her about Misaki and how much he loves her. With her curiosity at max level, Lililna decides to become the best girl and proposes to become Yukari's wingwoman to find out Misaki's true feelings. The next day, Yukari's friends are going bonkers seeing that his future wife is a cutie. Later, he goes to visit Lililna and finds her in the infirmary. She tells him she's pretending to be sick because she doesn't feel comfortable dealing with several people. The two go out and Lililna reveals to Yukari that he wants to know more about his love story with Misaki. Yukari then sees Misaki walking past the school and points her out to Lililna, so Lililna goes after her. She introduces herself and the two visit a restaurant to talk. Lililna interviews Misaki and asks her what she really feels about Yukari, and so Misaki starts telling her what she likes about Yukari, which surprises Lililna since it's probably not what she imagined. The two become fast friends from that single meeting, which makes Lililna really happy as she finally made her first ever friend. A few days later, Yukari visits Lililna. There, he finds out that Misaki's in the room as well, but Misaki is uncomfortable with this and tells her she'll have to go home. But Lililna argues that they're not even dating and the two starts doing their girl talk. Lililna orders Yukari to kiss Misaki, but this shocks Misaki, so she leaves the room. But she later comes back as she cannot miss this opportunity. But as soon as Misaki is about to kiss him, Yukari snaps out and turns away from her, panicking from what's happening. Liliana's eyes are glued to them, but something's wrong with her stare, and Misaki quickly notices this, so she bids them goodbye. But before leaving, Misaki tells Lilina that she wants her to fall in love with Yukari, telling her that she's probably not the right girl for him. Back in the room, Liliana orders Yukari to kiss Misaki every day. The two then go outside and meet Nisaka, who immediately angers Liliana by calling her a virgin. The next day, Yukari asks Misaki out and tells her about Liliana's idea, and the two agree to it. Nisaka catches sight of this but didn't interrupt them. The school is over and Nisaka finds Yukari sleeping in the classroom. After stealing a kiss from Yukari, Nisaka texts him, which wakes our man up. Yukari then asks him if he likes Misaki. Nisaka tells him he does, but immediately says he's just kidding, which reassures Yukari. The next day, Lilina visits the Najima residence. After dinner, the two go to Yukari's room and she asks Yukari how he fell in love with Misaki. Later, the FBI agents arrive and ask if they copulated yet, but the two tell them they haven't yet, and so the agents tell them that they need to attend a mandatory meeting in a few days. Before leaving, the FBI agents also ask them if they happen to know Misaki's address, which worries Yukari. The next day, Yukari helps Misaki with her schoolwork before asking her if she received her notice yet. Misaki tells him she hasn't and it's a family business, and then they kiss each other again. Later that night, Lilina informs Yukari that they'll have a family vacation happening soon, and Yukari invites Nisaka to join him. In the camping park while looking for the two girls, Yukari sees Lilina accidentally trips and hurt herself, so he carries her back to base. Later that night, Yukari asks Nisaka if he's hiding something from him. Nisaka almost tells him he kissed Yukari, but our guy gets called off and the four of them go outside for a walk. Lilina decides to split the group, setting Yukari up with Misaki. Misaki asks Yukari if he wants to hold hands and he agrees. While following a firefly, Misaki trips and falls. Yukari tries to save her, but Misaki drags him down into an awkward position. Misaki asks Yukari to stay like that for a couple of minutes before Lilina and Nisaka find them. While walking away, Nisaka asks Yukari if he became a man, which Yukari denies. The next day, Yukari tries to talk to Misaki, but she's avoiding him, so Yukari and Takeda, the guy who wanted to fall in love instead of getting randomly married, proceed to the state-sponsored family and welfare meeting. There, Takeda introduces his wife to Yukari, and later Yukari meets Lilina. Over the course of the meeting, the FBI agent tells them that intercourse is good for the mind and body, and basically the Japanese population. Apparently, the ministry encourages the couples who attend the meeting, reinforcing the idea of pregnancy. They also give everyone several government-approved condoms in their executive order repopulation chambers. After watching a tutorial, the couples go inside their assigned rooms. Before going, however, Yajima, one of the FBI agents, tells Yukari that they'll be watching in the next room. Fearing what Yajima had told him, Yukari forces himself to kiss Lilina and the two make out. But after stopping for a bit, Yukari sees Lilina in tears and he immediately apologizes. He tells Lilina that they're being watched, but Lilina scolds him for being dumb. She knows they can't watch what they do because it's illegal. Lilina tells Yukari that she's scared of him and Yukari leaves the room. Yukari sees Yajima and confronts him for lying. But Yajima tells him if it was Misaki, Yukari would have already been serving the country. A couple of days after the event, and Yukari's class is preparing for the upcoming cultural festival. Misaki will play the role of Romeo and Nisaka is forced to play Juliet. While trying to help out in the creation of the props, Yukari injures himself and has to be sent to the infirmary. Upon hearing this, Misaki rushes to the room and asks Yukari if he's okay. Yukari reassures her and tells her not to be worried. The next day, he sees Yajima again and asks for help. Yajima tells him that he should be true to his feelings because he knows someone who didn't listen to his heart and got himself ruined by the government's dating system and his indecisiveness. Hearing this, Yukari tries to make up with Lilina and invites her to the festival. Yukari sees Nisaka leaving the classroom early, but Nisaka tells him to mind his business. Nisaka's father arrives and tells him he shouldn't do that to his friends. Nisaka's father then apologizes to Yukari and invites him to a restaurant. Yukari learns more about Nisaka's past and his dad tells him to protect Nisaka. As soon as they finish eating, the boys leave and Yukari tells Nisaka that Romeo and Juliet are literally them, stating similarities between not being able to love someone you love instead of the spouse handouts from the government. The next day, Yukari leave their room while delivering their props as Misaki accompanies him, and the two end up next to a building. Misaki asks him if Yukari has already fallen in love with Lililna, but Yukari reassures her he loves her. Misaki reminisces her memories of Yukari and cries that she wasn't picked for him, and tells him she still loves Yukari despite all the odds stacked against her. Yukari assures her that he loves her and hugs her. The cultural festival is here and everyone's preparing the costumes and props. Yukari is assigned to the flyer duty. He sees Misaki's friends arrive and carefully tries to hide from them. Once away from their sight, he meets Yajima and tells him he'll look into his concern about Lililna being wrongly assigned to him. Before the play, Yukari tells Nisaka that he's worried about his imposter syndrome, but Nisaka tells him that without Yukari, none of this will happen. Nisaka confidently tells him he'll show him why Yukari's encouragement is the best thing that ever happened. After the play, Yukari meets Igarashi, Misaki's classmate and the one she's avoiding. She reveals that she's trying to protect Misaki, telling him that his match is actually Misaki, not Lililna. Lililna overhears this and questions her further, but Igarashi tells them that's all she can reveal. Lililna tells Yukari that they need to know more about what Igarashi knows and asks Yukari to help her. The next day, Lililna and Yukari arrive at the Ministries building and meet Igarashi. Igarashi reveals to them that there's a bond that's more important than the notice between Misaki and Yukari. She then reveals that she used to hate Misaki, but after finding out her sincere love for Yukari, she immediately goes on mommy instincts to protect her love. Yajima arrives and tells Igarashi that she shouldn't be meddling with their business, especially with the notices. She leaves, telling them that she should have not talked about this to Yukari, who doesn't even plan to choose Misaki. Later that night, Lililna asks Yukari if he's going to choose Misaki but doesn't know. He likes Lililna's straightforward personality, which literally complicates things even more. The next day, the group attends Nisaka's older brother's wedding. On the way to the reception, a ceremonial hall manager approaches them and offers Misaki and Lililna to be their bridal models for their promotional wedding dresses, to which the two girls agree. Lililna tells her that Yukari made a huge impact on how she lives her life now, and Misaki tells her she wants to be invited to her wedding and give a speech. The wedding ceremony ends and the bride's about to throw her bouquet of flowers when Yukari tells them he accidentally left his phone on their table. Upon reaching the room, he sees Misaki crying on the floor as the ceremony made her emotional, and so Yukari comforts her. Misaki asks him to tell her he loves her, which Lililna sees from the small door opening. The next day, the Sonatas invite the Najimas to their private hot spring. Naturally, the family put them together inside the same room. After taking a bath, the two go back to their room to sleep, but they can't. Instead, they just talk about their feelings, mastering all the courage she has to talk. Lililna tells Yukari that he should choose Misaki. Yukari seems dumbfounded by common sense and asks Lililna what she means. Lililna tells Yukari that meeting him made a huge difference in her life, and for that, she's grateful. She also tells him that he should have the chance to love Misuki and that the government shouldn't have a say in that. She tells Yukari that she did some reading and finds out that they can dissolve the assigned marriage in 6 months if they claim they don't get along. She knows that Yukari loves Misaki and she loves her too. Lililna genuinely wants to support them, even if she's going to take the emotional damage, telling Yukari she's still going to be by his side, and so it's decided, Yukari if she can practice kissing with her since she's going to be reassigned to someone else once their plan starts. The next day, Nisaka visits Yukari and asks him why he's not going to see Misaki and Lililna. Yukari vaguely tells him what he feels, but Nisaka's words encourage him to see the two of them. After some self-deprecation and some wise words from Nisaka, Yukari snaps out of his stupidity to create an even bigger mistake. Yukari leaves their home and runs to meet both Lililna and Misaki. He knows it's wrong, but he doesn't have to be fair. He rushes to the photo shoot location to meet the girls in their bridal dresses. He opens the church doors and confesses his love for both, and they decide to all stay together. That's all for today, and if you enjoyed watching this video, consider liking and subscribing for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.